Hello and welcome to the You Are the Program podcast. Post-game episode, week 2, Michigan State takes down Boston College in double overtime, 42-40.
Absurd.
Let's get right into this game because I think this was let's talk about a lot of the reasons why it was an important game. But first of all, let me make sure to introduce my brothers here. Brian Lewerke, Tyler Higbee, Dante Rosano here, and that game was incredible. I was probably like doom texting all of you guys, being at a wedding, watching like a third of it, and just trying to get some vibes out there, not watching the whole thing. It was tough, but it was a roller coaster game, and I can't believe they came out on top.
This guy Dante was absolutely freaking out in the first half because we were down. I'm like, yeah, like it's just like this game was just a battle, and we were down a little bit early, and it wasn't going to be like a big blowout game. It was going to be a game that was probably going to be tight. I think Boston College, they're not like a great team, but they're not a bad team by any means. It's a good Power 4 team. Dylan Lonergan played a great game, almost had 400 yards passing. He's a good thrower of the ball. So it was a battle, and I was going absolutely crazy. I was watching it at a bar that had probably like 30 TVs, and they didn't have the Michigan State game on. And so I was just watching it on my phone. And eventually, once it went to overtime, I'm like, all right, I got to go get someone to like turn this game on the TV. Yeah. So I ended up being able to watch it, and I went crazy after we scored the 2 point to win. So,
it's bad when I got to be Dante's voice of reason. I'm always the, I guess, realist. I feel like of the group. I just in general about everything. I had to try to talk this guy off the ledge after the first half, but it's a great win. And to your point, Brian, this Boston College team, it's not like when you're looking at the schedule. This is for anybody. It's not a game you can just automatically circle as an automatic win. It's a team you got to show up for. They played well, but Michigan State ended up making more plays in the end to win, which is nice to finally say this team made enough plays to win the game.
Yeah, that's the point that I want to hammer home, and I don't want to talk about too much of my frustrations early on, but the thing that kind of got me was at halftime, and this was a playoff of last week. It was a playoff of last year as well, with, things would kind of go well, and then adversity would hit and things don't go well again. Right. And I know that we had another halftime and a second half to right the ship there, but I hadn't seen us do what we did on Saturday night. And that's where I want to take this discussion next is out of everything, that is what I wanted to see. You could talk about, I wanted to see us win by 40. I wanted to see us win by multiple scores, be comfortable, be dominant. What we saw on Saturday night is what I wanted to see and what we all needed to see, I think, as a fan base. Not just to think that, this team could be special or they could be something bigger than what we might expect, but to finally see a adverse situation hit you and then the answer and response. That's the biggest thing that we talked about in the week leading up was how is this team going to answer when adversity strikes, specifically the offense. And I think that offense, the first drive coming out of halftime, hitting that big throw down the field to Nick Marsh, that was like all I needed to see of I think I calmed down once we saw that drive, because that's what I was so frustrated with last week, was coming out of half and just nothing from the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I would arguably say this is the best win of the Jonathan Smith era. I think that's pretty easy to say. And I think it's also Aidan Chiles' best game as a Michigan State Spartan. He battled adversity. The entire team did. It was one of those games where both teams were throwing blows, and the last team to respond was the team that wins the game. And that happened to be us. Made a big stop in second overtime. On the 2 point play, and then obviously came up with a great play call. I think I sent a tweet out about it. I love the play call because you practice your 2 point plays every week in practice. So you have a little segment in the red zone where you go over 2 point plays. So they know the plays that they're going to run. Obviously, you want to call your best one in that situation. and it ended up being a great one. So I think it was kind of a coming out party for Aidan Chiles and really establishing himself as a leader for this team. And overall, I beating Boston College isn't like a huge accomplishment, but I think just the fact that this is like a statement win, it kind of gets the ball rolling. It gets everyone's confidence up, not only the players, but the fans as well, that we can win these tight games and win the big ones that, everyone's watching national TV, a lot of recruits in our brand new flashy jerseys, being able to get a win.
We got to talk about that at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can start with the jerseys. I mean, I know how thrilled we all were about wearing the black jerseys at home. They're a great look, but the outcomes we've had in these jerseys, the last 2 or 3 times we've worn them, it's kind of made a stain on these jerseys. I wasn't too thrilled about it. I don't know how you guys were when they announced it. It's more of just a superstition thing than anything at this point, but I think we got the monkey off the back with this one.
Yeah.
I don't like, to your point, Tyler, and I think everyone can agree that I like the jerseys, but I think we're getting into a territory where we're doing too much sometimes. Like I'd rather keep it traditional, mix in the white helmet every now and then, but I'd prefer of the 10 of 12 games you're wearing, you can change the pants, but wear your traditional look, which is green helmet, green jersey, and if you want to throw in green, like you have one game where I think it's cool to mix stuff in, but this is also the way of the world now.
I initially thought that we looked like Penn State when the jerseys came out, and when I was showing people like have you seen these like brand new jerseys? I was showing people yesterday. They're like, yeah, that looks exactly like Penn State, and it kind of does. I mean, like the black and the white.
Yeah.
Not like opposed to it, but I'm not like a huge fan. I don't really want to see the black jerseys a ton. I'd rather just see the good old green and white in a home game.
I mean, our classic, just regular home uniforms are some of the best in college football. I think that's a non-biased opinion. I think you ask people around the country who some of the best uniforms are, just year in and year out, minus our neon green ones. People are going to say Michigan State are up there. They're just clean. They're simple. The whatever you call it, the script is on the jerseys, looks good.
Yeah.
I just think for the most part we have pretty solid uniforms. So to your point, Dante, we don't need to do too much. We don't need to reinvent the wheel when it comes to our uniforms.
But it's always welcome to see. I need the solid stripe on the helmet back. I love how I love that Greek script that's accents our jerseys. I just don't love it as a main focal point. I need a solid stripe back. Regardless. I'm good. I was muted for 2 seconds. Regardless, let's go back into this game. And we talked about the resiliency of the offense. We haven't talked about the struggles of the defense yet. Brian, you brought it up. And I think this is really where we should lead off, is Aidan Chiles, because he started now. Is this his 14th game starting for us? He started all of last year. This is his second game this year. And this was his moment. I mean, this was the time I've seen people talk about it. I've seen Justin Thind read an article about it. It was his time to kind of announce himself. And maybe this wasn't the biggest game. It felt like a program win because one that we had to have and in the way that we did it. But it was the way that he also did it too. And we're looking at now he had 5 touchdowns this game, 4 passing, 1 rushing. Last week he had, I think, only 1 touchdown, I believe. I know he had 1 in Nick Marsh. But you're starting to see performances stack up in terms of decision making. It has been there for the first couple weeks. Some of the throws, I still think he leaves some out there. But in terms of what he's able to do in the scope of the offense and how he was able to keep everything on schedule, this is the type of progression that I think everyone wanted to see quicker. But at the same time, you're starting to see it now. He's utilizing his legs at a great clip. I think he's making things simple on himself when he breaks the pocket. There's only one throw I didn't love. It was Krishan McCray's one-hander. So I think if Krishan McCray does not come down with that, it's right into the hands of BC. But still, those throws were happening 4 or 5 times last year as compared to this year, where that's kind of one. But other than that, he's using his legs as a huge weapon right now too.
Yeah, that's I think was a massive point for him yesterday is some of the scrambles that he was able to make, especially there was the 3rd and long that he scrambled for a first down, and it was one of those moments where I'm like thinking as like an offensive coordinator, and I'm like, no, and then he keeps making plays and ends up scrambling to get the first down because he's running backwards a little bit. If he takes a sack, it's a big loss, but obviously his legs were a big factor in this game. And we're 2 games in, and he hasn't thrown an interception yet. So,
oh, thanks, dude. Appreciate that.
I know I didn't want to jinx it, but I mean, you got to say it, I guess.
Just say he's making better decisions with the ball.
He is, yes, and it's kind of picked up from how it was last season, where he's making better decisions with the ball. So it's kind of good to see his progression starting to happen.
I think more than anything too, this is just you briefly mentioned it, Brian. It's a confidence booster, not just for Aidan Chiles, but for this whole team. To know that, I mean, you're not going to score every possession, although they did in the second half almost every time. They got some sort of points. But to know that you can not play your best, although like you said, this was his best game. As a team, you didn't play your best.
Yeah.
And you can still win. You can still find a way to win. And that's what they did yesterday. I mean, I don't know if we could have said that, if we said that at all last year, not playing your best and winning maybe once. But against a team like this, it's a really good sign. It makes you excited for what this team's capable of the rest of the year if they can get clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, that's why I really wanted to talk about and why I had set out the front. Like I needed to see a win like this because we haven't seen it, number one. And number two, in the way that it happened with Aidan Chiles leading us. Our offense scores 42 points. Now, granted, 15 of those were in overtime. But offensively, it was never one of those things to where the offensive game plan stalled out. It actually excelled in the second half, what it felt like. I think technically we scored more points in the first half with 2 touchdowns and 14. But we didn't ever hit that point in the game that we've been complaining about for 2 years now of opening script looks good, or early on our offense is moving the ball, and then the defense adjusts and we kind of stall out and we don't make another adjustment off of that. And it felt like yesterday was the first time that we started hot offensively. We got to 14 and then we kind of stalled for a little bit, but then it was right after halftime. We landed a counter punch in terms of throwing the ball downfield, having a deep shot to Nick Marsh, which we hadn't seen. I know Chiles missed one early in the I think second quarter, late first quarter, to Nick Marsh. But that's where I want to go to next is Nick Marsh, because he's making plays right now and looking like someone that we had all anticipated we were going to see in him. But my God, that first touchdown was one of the coolest touchdowns I've seen in a very, very long time. Catches a 3-yard slant and literally just carried a defender and shrugged off 2 others on his way into the end zone.
Yeah, he had obviously a great game, and that play was insane. I was thinking on like a 3rd and goal from the 10 is what it was. Like he threw the slant route. I'm like, oh, great. We're just got to settle for a field goal here. And then Nick Marsh just carries like 1-2 guys into the end zone. I thought that was fantastic by him. Obviously being able for him to get open downfield, catch some long balls. It really started to click again, and it's kind of nice to see.
That play was 3rd down, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember watching it. He caught it. I'm like, all right, get upfield. And in my head, I'm like, go for it. You got to go for this. But then he kept going. He refused to go down. And I mean, it's just so fun to see that you have one of those guys on your team, and they mentioned it on the broadcast, like this guy could have easily won Big Ten Freshman of the Year, Receiver of the Year in the Big Ten, if it wasn't for Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, he's unbelievable. And now you have a supporting cast to go with him, because when teams start doubling him like Boston College did, you have other guys that can make plays, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
The last thing I want to talk about offensively is the offensive line. I thought for the majority of the game, and this is where I'll defer to you guys, because a lot of the time if I'm sitting down watching a game and not at a wedding, I can feel a lot of the minute details or some of like the grander, offensive line. There's just some extra details that I like to put in there. But offensive line wise, it felt like it was an okay game. Outside of, I will say, and we talked about this a little bit pre-show, Stanton Ramil, he had a tough game. He gave up 5 hurries, 6 pressures in general. He's one of the guys that up front as a redshirt sophomore, we need more out of, especially at your left tackle position, because I thought Matt Golban in the middle. I thought interior, we got good push. Not as good as the Western game, but I thought our push up front was at least better than last year, and is continuing to look like our run game could at least be another weapon for us as this offense continues to round into form.
Yeah, to continue talking about that run game, 150 yards rushing on 35 carries, 4.3 yards a carry. So obviously the run game is working. Everything works better when you can run the ball. And I think I don't think the offensive line did a fantastic job of blocking up front for the run game, but Mekhi Frazier is that dude at running back, and he's able to make people miss. So it's great to be able to have that ability. In the passing game, again, there's a couple mistakes up front where guys are getting beat or we're not blocking the right guy, but I don't know. And kind of goes to that continuity that Tyler, you mentioned last week as well, having guys that are playing together a lot instead of rotating as much as we do, trying to establish those 5 guys up front that we can really rely on.
Yeah, you mentioned the run game. Watching the game, it didn't feel like the run game was that big of a factor, but looking back at the stats, obviously it was. And what you said, that included Kyle's run. Even if you take him out, the pure runs with the running backs still averaged over 5 yards a carry, which is kind of crazy to think about because, like I said, watching the game, I would have never guessed that. So it's good to see that this team's still able to run the ball against a solid defense, a solid front seven. And then to echo what y'all said, I mean, Ramil struggled big time. And one of my keys before the game was I wanted to see the same 5 playing majority of the snaps. You had 8 guys on the offensive line that had at least 10 pass blocking reps. And to me, that's too many. You need 5, maybe 6 guys that are taking majority of the reps. Because, like you just mentioned, Brian, it matters. It makes a big difference when you have the same 5 in there that are able to communicate, pass things off, run and pass. Like it makes a big difference as an offensive lineman. So, I mean, we've talked about it. It might just be a thing to keep guys fresh for now, but going forward, it's got to be the same 5, same 6, and we'll see how Ramil holds up once Big Ten play starts.
Yeah, it's still early in the season too, so they're probably trying to figure out who the guy is or who the guys are that they can rely on. So we'll chalk it up as that.
How much of a difference in it is it up front? And I feel like we talk about this a lot with the rotation, but Tyler, if you're one of the 6th or 7th guys, right, and you're coming in, what would the difference be in a depth piece to play 2 series a game or to like be part of this rotation and continue to get your reps, continue to get upfront action, or you're just that 6th or 7th guy, you're not starting, and then someone goes down in October and you haven't played in 3 weeks, right? Like what is the difference there from your experience? I don't know how much we rotated up there from 16 through 19, but as someone that was probably on both sides of kind of some type of rotation, what is the difference there?
Yeah, I mean, I experienced it both ways. My first year playing, I was like the 6th man. I got a couple series at Notre Dame, and then by BYU, I was starting. So it's nice to get your feet wet. It's nice to get comfortable, but it's also like for the guys that are starting, you want to be able to get in a groove. And the same thing as a quarterback with easy throws, same thing as a running back. Like you want to feel that first hit. You want to get in a groove. Like when you get taken out for a series, if you're rolling, like it's like a basketball player who's hot.
Yeah.
Like get him the ball, let him shoot. Let him shoot his way out of him being on fire. Like I want to stay in the game. I want to stay in the groove. It makes a big difference when you can just like keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think offensively, we'll see how it continues to shake out. Youngstown, I would definitely assume we're going to continue to rotate guys. You're going to try to lessen some of the snaps on those big your starting 5 that is your kind of your main playing rotation. And we'll talk about that game, obviously later this week. But overall, let's wrap up the offensive side of the ball here. We talked about a lot of detail, but what was kind of the biggest impression that you guys took away, or what is one thing that we haven't talked about yet offensively that you would like to put a bow on this conversation right now?
We talked about how we were able to keep the ball rolling and create some plays in the second half, which is something that we're not quite used to. I do think tight end wise, Michael Masunis is kind of becoming the guy up there.
Jack Velling has 0 catches.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of Jack Velling, and Masunis is always that guy that on those naked boots, he's catching the ball in the flat and turning upfield, getting 8 to 10 yards every time. So I've been impressed by him. He's done some good things in the past game. So, yeah.
Quick question before I answer yours. Is Jack Velling's absence worrisome at all to you guys?
It's a great conversation topic. No.
I don't think so. Me neither.
Maybe
he's not the guy that we thought he was. I think he's a good player, but maybe he's not the piece that we necessarily need right now.
I just think it's so different compared to last year because we struggled to have receiving options. And so much of our conversation, whether it was early or late in the year, talking about, who's someone that really needs to step up? Who's someone to look out for receiving wise? You had Jack Velling, you had Nick Marsh emerge, and then you had Montori Foster. Like now you have Amari Kelly, you have Krishan, you have 4 or 5 guys in that receiving room who they're probably prioritizing over him. Now, it's not worrisome to me. Through the context of is it worrisome? No. I don't. I think there's other guys that we can key in on.
Copy that. My good thing for the offense was obviously Chiles. His best game as a Spartan. He showed flashes of what he can do and what kind of player he can be. He can win. He can go win you a game with his legs or with his arm. And some of the plays that he made with his legs, when there was nothing there, he tucks the ball and gets vertical. It's fun to watch. He could be a walking highlight. Which is also kind of scary. I say could be because there's the other side of that coin too. But he's a lot of fun to watch, and I think it's a huge confidence booster for him and a big step in the right direction this weekend.
I think confidence booster is the right word. I think this offense needed this game. Obviously, the program needed this game. The fans needed this game. I talked about it before. But the offense specifically, to have a game on their shoulders that they had to go win. And we're about to talk about the defense. Wasn't the best game from the defense. But for the offense to have to go out and Aidan Chiles specifically to have the ball in his hands saying that we got to go win this game. Nick Marsh had the ball in his hands, opportunity to win the game, and they did it. They outscored someone. Would you have rather, now that we're going to transition into the defense, would you rather have seen, I don't want to say a stinker from the offense and we win 13-10 outlasting someone, or would you rather have won this way where the defense didn't look as good, but we still got it done? Which side of the coin would you have liked to see it?
I think I'm going to say like a 13-10 game, because I think a good defense wins championships. And if we're letting Boston College's quarterback throw for almost 400 against us, it's not a great sign for the future. There are some good quarterbacks in the Big Ten that we will be facing. So
I will say this. He is, for Boston College, what Nathan Rourke was for Indiana last year. I think he's perfect for that. I think he's perfect for that offense. He does exactly what they want him to do. And he was a 4-star that went to Alabama for a reason. Like he can throw it around a little bit. So I think that's a little piece of the puzzle. But I think what happened yesterday is what I would rather see. With all the pieces that they added to this offense, this is kind of what you anticipated, what you expected. I think there are some pieces on the defense, but from what we've seen this year, what we've heard through camp, you expect a little bit of showing. But I think I'd rather have this 42-40 game.
I agree, and I concur. I think we needed to see the offense with with everything that's on this offense and the expectations that were on this offense, to barely win another game. Well, not barely win another game, but for the offense to underperform again, I think would have been a huge red flag.
That's a good point. Yeah.
All right, let's move over defense because this is going to be the side that clearly needs to clean up a little bit. They gave up, what was the final yardage here?
457.
457 through the air.
No, not 390 through the air, 457 total.
390 through the air, 457 total. Completion percentage, 75% for Dylan Lonergan. Lonergan, I think I said that right.
Correct.
Rushing game, and we talked about it pregame. I think the keys that I had and that we had talked about was shut down the run game, make it tough on a quarterback making his first true road start or first road start in general, and they did that. Offensively, they ran the ball for 67 total yards, 2.7 per carry, which this at least feels like it's going to be another year of, okay, I understand that the pass defense still doesn't seem to be there, but at least defensively, we have something to hang our hat on, and we feel confident that we can shut down the run. Although I will say I'm concerned a little bit about the pass defense, and there's two reasons why, which I don't think should be a stunner. It's the pass rush, and then I really just think there was a lot of coverage busts on that end. We had Malik Spencer got hurt. I don't think he came back. You guys can correct me on that. Haven't gotten to that point in the rewatch. Nikai Martinez was also out. So both of your starting safeties did not play for a large majority of that game.
Yeah, I have 2 points.
Spencer came back.
Okay.
You said he did come back?
I'm pretty sure he came back.
Yeah.
I think that's when the communication kind of picked back up.
Yeah. I have 2 points in the defense. One being my pregame key for the defense was to make them one-dimensional, and we pretty much did, only allowing 2.7 yards a carry. Made them throw the ball, and they did pretty well and almost beat us because of it, but we were kind of able to eliminate their run game. And I think, too, Nikai Martinez, like the absence of him is kind of bigger than what we think, because I think he's the main communicator in the back end of the defense. And I think Boston College's first 3 touchdowns, I think, were basically wide open guys or coverage busts. They hit a lot of, like on third downs, they would throw the little swing route to the running back as like the first read for the quarterback. And there's a little miscommunication with switching between the backer and the corner that were on that side.
That first one that they threw was just
the
easiest, like, communicate. It was a swing route and I think a sit.
Yeah.
Or it was some type of curl, and they just didn't communicate. It was bad.
Yeah, and as a quarterback, that's like incredible that you can just look on your first read and the running back how it leverages the guy, and you can throw him the ball for an easy touchdown or first down. So I think that eventually when Nikai Martinez comes back, hopefully the secondary will have a little better communication and better overall play. So that's something I'll be looking forward to. But until then, we got to step it up a little bit on the back end, and getting a pass rush obviously helps that. And that's also another point that we weren't really able to generate much in the pass rush.
Yeah, to me, it's the lack of pass rush that's most concerning, because this is going on the second year. We talked about it a lot in the offseason. What was it, a 6-7 game stretch with 0 sacks? That's not something this defense can withstand again. I mean, even with Nikai Martinez back there, with Malik Spencer back there, Jordan Hall in the middle, I mean, you got guys like that, but it doesn't really help when you can't get a pass rush and the quarterback can sit back there and pick you apart all day. I mean, how nice is it, Brian, when you can sit back there and just know you got nothing to worry about? Just wait for a receiver to find an open spot. You can just do kind of whatever you want.
Yeah, you don't have to throw hot. You're able to sit back there and diagnose the defense, make a play.
Yeah. So I mean, it makes it hard. And I think, to Rossi's credit, I think he did try to dial up some blitzes. To BC's credit, they picked him up for the most part. But it makes it hard on the back end when you're not able to get a pass rush and you got to cover a guy for 6, 7, 8 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this all the time in terms of defense. and how everything works together, the back end, the front end. And it's tough, especially with the Bill O'Brien coach. You know how good of a play caller he is, how good of a schemer he is, and I say schemer in terms of getting guys open. There's also the element of, and as we talked about, this third variable now with most of that second half, we gave up 21 points. I believe all of that was in the second quarter, and it was just big chunk plays. It was just a lot of, long, deep overs, and I do wonder if Bill O'Brien found something that picked on safety looks specifically, because I want to say it was very quickly. It was either right before or after Malik Spencer got hurt. They completed that very deep over, because the first quarter, I actually kind of forgot how good the defense looked in the first quarter. They were getting some pressure. I think they almost had a sack in the first drive. I believe it looked like a sack that he got back to like the line of scrimmage, so it didn't get counted as one. But there's some guys up front that I do like. LaFele, I think he's a pretty solid edge that can get pressure. He's a young guy. Santiago, Jalen Thompson just doesn't. I feel like he doesn't get a ton of pressure, and he's in there. He's our highest snap count defensive end, but they got to figure something out, and hopefully as the communication continues to work out, and as the back end starts to get more familiar with each other, they can get more creative. But I think a lot of the defensive issues were pretty Michigan State driven. But at the same time, you're not going to face a play caller like Bill O'Brien, I feel like, all the time. They've got a good receiving core. They got a good quarterback, and I think it's a tough test. And at the end of the day, you see 40 points final score. Yeah, 13 of those came in overtime. So, they didn't Boston College didn't score a touchdown in the second half. They came out, they got 6 points in the second half. And I everyone's going to be upset about it. I get it, and so was I. But I do think if you can hang your hat on stopping the run and make teams one-dimensional, I think you do have an offense that can outscore some teams. So as long as there's some type of identity on this defense, I'm not saying it's going to be pretty. I'm not saying it's how I'd prefer it, but I think we can manage.
We never mentioned, too, how absolutely absurd the beginning of the game was with the muffed punt on the first drive. We forced BC to punt, go 3 and out. Muff punt, they pick it up. BC fumbles. I think it was Jordan Hall that made the play on the goal line. They fumble. We get the ball back. And then we drive the field down the field a little bit, and Omar Kelly gets upended, and the ball goes 30 feet in the air. It was just like the most hectic start to a game. But credit the defense, credit Jordan Hall for making that stop on the goal line. I think that was massive after a big momentum swing like that. I think Coach Tress was big on sudden change, our defensive coordinator back when we played. So it was good to see that, and being able to go out there and get a stop to kind of start the game was awesome.
Yeah, but that's even what I'm talking about, offensively and defensively. One of the big things we discussed in the pregame was being able to answer back after adversity. And the defense did that to a smaller degree than the offense did. But both sides of the ball, when there was adversity, we followed up. Anytime the defense had any issues or gave up a bad first half of play, second half they came back and answered the bell. They made the play to stop the 2-point conversion, which caused us to win. I had forgotten that the rule now was second overtime.
Yeah. You
have to start going for 2. And so, being at the wedding, not listening to anything, just watching, I thought that was just their decision and we were toast. And then I once I saw Boston College roll their 2-point conversion unit out there, kept their offense out there, I knew that was the case. But the last thing I wanted to do was not be able to lock in sitting on my couch and us getting into the 3 overtime 2-point conversion alternating battles that can last forever. And Michigan State's never been a part of one, and I can't imagine a game hanging in the balance on the alternating 2-point conversions.
I was telling Tyler during the game too. I don't think we ever had an overtime game at Spartan Stadium. We only had one, and it was Northwestern in 2017 that we lost. But I don't think we ever played an overtime game at home, which is interesting.
I don't think so. I never did.
Yeah.
I think the only time we were about to was 2016 against Ohio State, and we tried to go for 2 for the win.
Oh, yeah. Which I love that call to go for 2. But
I was scared to death
He
that
had no
Boston
business being
College.
in that game.
Yeah.
I was scared to death Boston College was going to try and go for 2 after the first overtime. After
Really?
they scored the touchdown.
I was thinking that too, yeah. But like they were hanging in the entire game. It probably would have been that's kind of like a desperate move, and I feel like they were moving the ball on us pretty well. Unless they just wanted to go for the kill shot right then, but I don't know.
I am always of the opinion if there's something that I don't want to see, and it was in that scenario, it was I didn't want to see Boston College go for 2 because they moved the ball on us all day, and essentially they would have had one play to win the game, walk it off on our defense. So
that's true. That's true.
Is there any standouts? We talked about Jordan Hall, obviously making a ginormous play, continuing to just be that kind of guy. I mean, he's all over the place. I was nervous when I saw, again, not being able to listen to anything. I saw the replay back to him shaking his arm out and grabbing his pec, and I didn't know what that was going to bring. He finished out the rest of the game. Injury-wise, anything we're nervous about? Anyone else who kind of stuck out to you? I would like to say Alex Van Sumeren doesn't make a ton of the flashy plays, but I feel like he's always just stuffing in the middle, a great run defender. If anything, we talk about a Joe Rossi defense. I think that's something we can continue to hang our hat on, and just continue to work at and have that be our backbone as a defense.
Yeah, I don't have much else. I'm kind of waiting for someone else to establish themselves as kind of a superstar in the defense besides Jordan Hall. Obviously, you can't really only have one guy that's kind of doing everything. I think there's a lot of contributors that play well, but I would like to see some other guys kind of step up and make some plays too. So,
yeah, I would love to see someone on this D line step up and be that guy. Someone that's going to be the bona fide pin your ears back, go get the quarterback pass rusher, someone that you can count on. 3rd and long, go get the quarterback, get us off the field. To your point, Dante, you mentioned a little bit ago, this was just a really good complementary game. Offense put up some points. They went into a little bit of a lull. Defense did what they could to keep them in it. Offense got a little hot there in the second half, and then defense bowed their neck to stop that 2-point conversion. Not to mention the special teams, the return game, and Ryan Eckley just being that dude. I mean, we said it last week. We said it before the season. Riley deserved. He was a preseason All-American, preseason first team, and he is proving every bit of that was to be correct.
dare I say we're turning into punter U?
It kind of feels
Bryce Behringer right into Ryan Eckley.
It kind of I mean, when you got 2 NFL punters, that's a big advantage. And dare I say, we might have a kicker who will suit up for us for the next 4 years, because we talked about that coming into this game. And I think his name's Martin Connaughton,
yeah.
He comes in, and there was a report from Pete Thamel, I think 2 days before, said he was going to play but be limited. So he wasn't kicking the extra points, but then he comes out and drills a 50-yarder.
Drilled it.
That probably was good from 60, I think. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. Again,
I mean, probably like 55, maybe 58.
So he drills that as a freshman, redshirt freshman. I don't know which one he is, but I know he's a freshman. He's going to play for us for the next 4 years. But a huge shout out to Alante Brown. I mean, those 2 plays, and I didn't even catch them at the time. Those 2 kick returns were ginormous. And they both came after scores of Boston College, to where we needed to find some momentum and get some momentum back. Well, we got it back very quickly. And that's also another reason why it looks like, when you have the total yardage differentials, it's 457 to 380. I do wonder how much special teams yardage was baked into there, because he probably had 60 to 70 yards of returns that were put in there. So huge shout out to the special teams. We talk about it every week on how they need to make a difference. This was a game where they really felt like they made a difference for a lot of different reasons.
We beat them by 50 yards in the return game. So
he himself has 100 yards of returns.
Alante Brown.
Yeah.
Very, very good there. What else do we want to talk about before we get into the greater landscape of college football? Because it was a very interesting weekend there. Any other shout outs, any other things that we want to wrap up here? I'm trying to look through our notes.
Just a really good win. I mean, this team needed to get over, if you want to call it what it is, they need to get over this hump. They haven't done it yet. They haven't won a game like this under Jonathan Smith. It's nice for them to finally be able to do it. Like I just said, complimentary football, and it's a lot you can build on, but a big building block you can go with the rest of the season.
And it's like, it wasn't perfect either. And that's where, if people are going to complain about this, the pass defense or the lack of pass rush, or they're going to complain about something offensively, that's fine. But I know that with how this game worked out and how we ended up winning this game, fought through adversity, I do feel a lot more confident in when we get in these spots in Big Ten play that we're not just going to crumple, because everything that we've seen up to this point is when adversity hits, it hasn't been a disaster. It hasn't been like the end of the Tucker years, but we haven't been able to pull out games. And that was where Coach D kind of made his hay early on in his tenure, way before we got there, of people just started believing that they could win. And you now have a coach and a team that has done it once, but you also have a quarterback that it seems like is starting to come into form. And there's just exciting things that are going to happen on top of that. So I think that's where it's really key. It wasn't perfect, but they found a way to do it. Oh, nothing. An air ball from Brian.
Huh?
An air ball from Brian.
I said my pieces already.
Yeah, that's fair. Just very exciting. It was a very, very exciting win. I don't know what we think Boston College is gonna end up being. I think they're gonna be a solid ACC team, but we could look back also in 6 weeks and think a lot more of them or a lot less of them. So either way, very good win. Let's talk a little bit about around the country, because there were some bananas scores out there. I had let you guys know midway through the day, I had placed a bet on the Northwestern State. What's the mascot?
Their live line. They're the Demons.
The Demons, the Northwestern State Demons. Disrespectful. They were being provided 80.5 points at halftime when they were down 59-0 to Minnesota, to which you just don't hand out 80.5 to anyone, especially the Northwestern State Demons. Okay, you don't give them 80.5. So I took that, cashed in on that. Minnesota won 66-0.
That game got canceled with 6 minutes left too, which is crazy.
You never know. You could have lost.
I'm surprised your bet didn't get voided.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know that. It got canceled for what? Weather?
There's a rain delay with 6 minutes left, and both teams just agreed to call the game.
If I would, would you have respected it if Northwestern State's coach was like, no, we're not backing it up right now. We're finishing this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of bad that honestly you didn't kind of just whatever.
So that game, Tyler, you wanted to take us around the country and talk about what, the most disrespectful game of the weekend?
Yeah, because there were just some real interesting blowouts. Like just a lot of, just not really interesting. I guess games you kind of expected to be blowouts, except for one of them, which is the one I think we all agree was the most disrespectful. Oregon and Oklahoma State.
Yes.
That's something. I mean, what do you think happens with Gundy? I mean, obviously he's not getting canned right now, but it just seems like it's over after this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Oklahoma State is a Power 4 FBS team, and they're losing 69-3. And me and Tyler were talking about this before we started the podcast. Like we had some bad years at Michigan State when we played, but we never lost by 66.
We're not losing by 66 points to anybody.
No. Our worst loss was to Ohio State in 2017. It was 48-3. So that one wasn't great either, but it wasn't 66 points.
It's hard to lose by 66 points.
Like that's a lot.
Like there has to score every drive
motivation.
I was going to say, do you know how many points that is? Like how many possessions? You have to score every time you get the ball.
And then get some defensive turnovers and then maybe even some defensive touchdowns too.
That's a lot of 3 and outs by one team and quick scores by the other one.
Yeah. Dante Moore was looking pretty good for Oregon too. They might be. I mean, they were expected to be good, but I wasn't sure how he was going to play. But he's been playing pretty well.
The part that's crazy is I mean, Mike Gundy kind of alluded to it. I don't know if it was before or after the game, kind of talking about NIL. They have so much money there. They could pay anybody, any amount of money. And for them to be in the shape that they're in right now is kind of nuts because that school and I mean that stadium, their facilities specifically are, I mean, they're top 5 probably in the country. And
really,
for them not to be able to, for them to lose like that, that's bad.
You're talking Oklahoma State has a lot of money?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just never feel any sympathy for any coach that like panders to people and talking about the money of sport. Like I don't. It feels like one quote a week where some kind of coach. I think Dan Hurley last week had talked about, and this is different sport, but I'm just never sympathetic to when they're talking about how dumb the money is in one program or another. Yeah. It's just figure it out. I mean,
Alabama won big, kind of got on the wagon again.
What was that?
I said Alabama won big, got back on the wagon. Maybe people are liking Kalen DeBoer a little more again.
Well, we'll see. They got a couple big weeks coming up. They got Wisconsin and they got Georgia. So we'll talk in 2 weeks.
Worst loss was Florida too, losing to USF. They have an absolute gauntlet of a schedule too.
Yeah, they do. Napier's toast.
Yeah, Napier's not lasting until next season.
How about Vandy beating Virginia Tech 44-? Wow.
Yeah, that was a nice bet. We're currently watching a Sunday night football game too.
Is that DeAndre Hopkins? Yeah, it was. That was sick. Vanderbilt 44-20 on the road at Virginia Tech. Gotta respect. I tip my cap to the Vanderbilt Commodores, man. They seem to just have it rolling. Some other results. Let's do before we go. I know we have to cover our locks. Mine lost, by the way. Did yours too win?
Nope.
Mine won.
I'm not mad about mine losing though, because that means Michigan lost.
Yeah. So real quick, let's do locks, and then we'll do our stock up, stock down from the weekend. We want to continue to do this over the landscape of the Big Ten. My lock was Ole Miss minus 10.5. Oh wow, they ended up only winning by 7. So
yeah, Kentucky drove down and got a last-second field goal. I don't know why you would kick a field goal to lose by 7 versus lose by 10, but
if it would have been 9.5, I would have lost my marbles. I would have gone nuts. But yeah, that lost. It was 10.5. I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about Ole Miss. I just wanted that to be a spot play. My other pick was going to be Alabama spread because I thought they were going to take out some demons on UL Monroe, which they did. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I'm always in this position. 0-2 on the year.
Did you bet your week 1 overreaction picks? Did you actually bet any of those?
Yeah, I did.
I know Texas won big. I don't know if they covered, but
I don't think they covered though. They only won by 31. I think the spread was probably at 35 40s. Or something like that.
Okay. I had USC versus Georgia Southern. They ended up winning by 39. The spread was 29, so that was good. I'm 2-0. Looking better than both you bozos.
Yeah, well, I kind of alluded to it. I had Michigan plus 4.5. I mean, I guess in a way it's kind of a win-win for me. Either my lock hits or it doesn't, and Michigan loses by a lot, and they did. Not really a lot, but they lost. So for anyone that's a Spartan fan, that's a win. So 2 wins for the Spartans this week. That's a good weekend.
Yeah.
It kind of felt like a lot, and I had asked either of you if you had watched the Michigan games. This will naturally take us into the stock up, stock down. I'm going to go back and watch this game at some point, but I know Justice Haynes also, I think, had like a 70-yard touchdown run. That was obviously clearly their biggest offensive play of the day. They are I don't want to say biggest stock down because I think it would be a little bit too much of an overreaction to say they went on the road to Oklahoma, who I think it's a good Oklahoma team, and they didn't look very good, and their offense has concerns. I will still put them as my biggest stock down because I don't think we really found out a ton about other Big Ten teams. I don't know, the UCLA. So I might have just spoiled someone else's.
Yeah, that was gonna be mine.
Biggest stock up. I'm gonna go Oregon. I was between Oregon and Illinois. I didn't know what Oregon was going to be this year. A lot of transition with them. Dylan Gabriel gone, Dante Moore, and just to beat someone in the Power Four by 66 points is bananas. So I'm going to Oregon. I think they're absolutely. Yeah, that game against Penn State's now going to be fascinating because I was thinking Penn State was going to win that one.
I think there weren't a lot of good Big Ten games. Every team's kind of playing a smaller school and they blew them out. But I think Illinois probably be my stock up. Going on the road against a decent Duke team, who everyone thought was going to upset Illinois, end up winning pretty handedly when it came to the end of the game. So they look pretty good. Stock down, I'm going to go UCLA because they end up losing outright to UNLV. They're now 0-2 on the season. And Nico Iamaleava, I'm sure all the Tennessee fans are pretty glad he's gone.
Close.
That was good. So, yeah, that's becoming a game that we should definitely win further down the road.
100% agree. Y'all took both of my stock ups, Illinois and Oregon. Duke was a lot of the quote unquote experts sleeper team in the ACC this year. I think they're still a solid team. Manny Diaz has that team on the up and up. But it was a really good win, impressive win for Illinois. They pulled away late, and Oregon obviously doing what they did. And I'll throw in us with the stock up. I mean, a win like that. I don't know how many people outside of East Lansing, outside of us, really expected Michigan State to win this game. I think it was kind of, I'll believe it when I see it with us. Now that they did it, I'm wondering if we'll get a little bit more respect, but we'll see. My stock down, maybe Michigan, like you said, Dante, but a little bit of overreaction. I'll say maybe the September Merchants because they might be saving it for October. They haven't done what they do like they normally do so far this year. I mean, they won. They're 2-0, but they only beat Northern Illinois by 11. So they're not the September Merchants of the old days.
They were in a dogfight, and I think I upset a Maryland football fan. Which, first of all, I just want to say I am honored that our podcast and reach found one of the 11 Maryland football fans. So
are there any Maryland fans out there that are diehard passionate Maryland fans?
It is truly an honor. And he just hit us with such a good Maryland football take. He's like, LOL, Malik Washington's already better than Aidan Chiles. And Aidan just delivers. I really thank Maryland football fans for their contribution to this league. It is
Thank you for the listens. We appreciate it.
Yes. Please come back because we actually know nothing about their football team, and we'll see what they bring to Ford Field. I hope this does not come back to bite us. But they looked a little rough. But this was and Tyler, you talked about it right in your point there. The national podcast, the other, whether it's anything outside of the Big Ten Network, the national podcast. It is games like these that absolutely is why I wanted to create this podcast, because whether or not I'll listen to some of those national podcasts tomorrow morning on my way into work, they might give us a mention. They might give us 30 seconds. But this is what I think we really want to do is dive into these games. And we haven't had a lot of these to where it's been exciting. It's been something that I want to hear people talk about or discuss with you guys in these types of games. And this is a big win that I don't think a ton of people will say, well, that's a big win because it's Boston College at home. We were really expected to win this game. But us three, and I feel like all of Spartan Nation kind of know what this win means to us. It feels a little bit different. They did it in a different way. And I do think that this win can get us ready for the next step, and that's going to be a USC or Nebraska in a couple weeks, because I think they're going to be a little bit battle tested. I don't think USC is going to be battle tested, even though they play at Purdue this week, which you never know. West Lafayette, the Boilers. I think we know that this game means a little bit more, and I just hope that when we get out to USC in 2 weeks, that this game can kind of propel us to have that feeling and that swagger and that confidence, because I think this team, if they reach their full potential, especially offensively, can do some things that we haven't seen in a couple years. So just wanted to say that. Anything else before we go? Michigan State 2-0, chance to go 3-0. I don't think we've done that. Maybe. No, it's been a while. It's been a while because we played Washington after the
2020,
after the 11-2.
2021.
Yeah. 3-0 or 2-0, chance to go 3-0, Youngstown State. We'll talk about it. We'll probably do some other type of content this week because we don't know a ton about Youngstown State. But regardless, until next time, go green.